What is going on, live streamers? My name is Nick, and today I'm going to be talking with you about how to leverage live streaming for growth on YouTube and to get revenue in 2023. And the reason I want to talk about this is because, hey, this is the first stream that I've actually done, so far in 2023. So super excited about that. But the reason I want to talk about this is because everybody looks at the beginning of the year as a fresh start, right? It's that time where people are making New Year's resolutions. I mean, they've already made them, but right now people are in that process of getting things in order in terms of like, hey, I'm starting that momentum. I'm taking these steps based on the goals that I set for my New Year's resolutions. And therefore, I wanted to jump right into the middle of that and give you some information and some encouragement to help you fully leverage live streaming this year. Because here's the thing. This year, and this is happening every single year, live streaming is getting more and more advanced in terms of the technology that we have available to make our streams just look and sound and just operate awesomely on the internet. And, thanks to StreamYard, for a big part of that. Everything's getting easier when it comes to live streaming. And because of that, the opportunity that is here in live streaming is fantastic. And depending on the approach that you take with your live streams as well, you can also fully grow a thriving YouTube channel just off live streams alone, which is awesome. And in the past, that was pretty difficult to do. But now the way things are structured on YouTube, it's a lot easier to do that. So I want to bring that to your attention, but I want to talk about how to actually get all of these things in motion for those of you that are like, hey, this is my year. I'm going to stake my claim, as my friend Brian G. Johnson would say, and I'm going to do the thing this year. So that's what all of this information is for, to help you thrive this year in 2023 with growing your channel with live streaming and or making video content, because this will apply to you too if you're making videos, and making money. So I have this divided into two different parts. The very first part, of course, is about growing an audience and some very core things that you need to understand when it comes to growing an audience on social media, especially YouTube. And then the second part, of course, is about making money, because, money is required in order to be able to do this sort of thing sustainably, so that you're not taking money out of your pocket every time you have to get a new camera, you want to upgrade your stuff, or when you go to pay a subscription, for any service that you're using or something like that. You want to make sure that you're making money so that you can cover those things and hopefully get even more money in your pocket to help you pay your bills, or in some cases, for some of you, you even want to go full time. So to get started here, the very first thing I do want to say is congratulations to the StreamYard channel for crossing 75,000 subscribers. High five and fist bump to the team over there. But let's get into it. And before we do, though, really quick, I also want to mention, for those of you that are thinking about streaming, but you haven't gotten the ball started yet, and because you're afraid to start streaming, you're waiting for the right technology to come along, I want to let you know, and this is kind of the rant that I started earlier, I want to let you know that the time is now. As time passes, more and more people are streaming because it's getting easier, like I had mentioned previously. And because of that, you want to make sure that you get in now. Right? So go ahead and push that fear aside and, go ahead and start taking some action on getting that ball rolling. Because if you don't start that momentum, then if you wanted to get started last year, but you didn't, then what's going to happen if you don't get started quickly this year, while that momentum and that excitement of a fresh new start of the new year is, in front of you, then when we get here next year, I don't want you to be in the stream like, man, I wish I would have started in 2023, but I didn't. So now I'm here again in 2024, right? So because of that, if you are streaming, all you have to do, or if you're wanting to get started, all of this is competitive, but just understand it's a learning process. And everybody that live streams, we have to go through that learning process, and we have to get over some of those fears that a lot of people have that prevent them from streaming. But the time is now. Like, live streaming is blowing up, and it's continuing to blow up over time, and you want to hop on the train. So as we get into this, the very first thing that I want to talk about here is growing the audience. And like I mentioned, if you are just joining us, we are breaking this down into two different sections. What's going on, Dana? Nice to see you in here. Dr. Nas, nice to see you as well. Creator Classroom, nice to see you. But the very first thing, of course, when it comes to growing your audience is having a clear goal. And the reason it's important to have a clear goal of what it is that you are trying to accomplish with the content that you're putting out is because that goal, it creates a target for who it is that you are actually going to be making content for, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. But it also gives you purpose, and it gives you a reason to do, the actual thing, because you have that drive to achieve the goal versus, hey, I'm just going to live stream and just kind of see what happens, right? When you're doing that, you're just kind of putting that out there and you're just kind of crossing your fingers and hoping things will work out. But when you have a goal and you're like, okay, I'm trying to achieve these either financial goals, or I'm trying to achieve these milestones on my YouTube channel, or get certain amounts of people in my live streams, things like that, then you actually have things that you are going for. And every single time you live stream, you can say, am I getting a little bit closer to that thing? Yes or no. If the answer is no, then that's where you have to, kind of look under the hood and start thinking to yourself, okay, well, what do I need to do in order to try to help myself get there? So having those goals and those clear targets is extremely important, because if you don't have those, then you don't really have a direction to go, right? It's like hopping in a car to take a trip, but you don't really know where you're heading. So you'll end up somewhere, but it might not necessarily be the place that you want to be. But if you have goals, then you can ensure that everything else you're doing is driving you towards that place that you want to be, or that thing that you want to accomplish, or those things that you want to accomplish. The other side of this is having goals helps you know what to track. So when it comes to doing all of this stuff on social media, and I can tell you this from firsthand experience because I've fallen into this trap as well, it's so easy to get caught up in the trap of the vanity metrics. It's so easy to chase, like, how many views am I getting on this? Or it's so easy to chase, like, how many subscribers am I generating? But like, if the goal isn't, this certain amount of views, if the real goal is that I'm trying to, serve these particular people, or I'm trying to bring attention to my product or service, if you're a business owner, or if you, work for a company that has you doing social media or something like that, if like those are what you're actually trying to do, then, some of those vanity metrics can cloud your vision. So when you have a nice, clear goal that you're going after, it helps you make sure that you're focused on the right things and that you're tracking the right things. So I have a friend of mine. He puts out, YouTube videos, does a lot of live streams, things like that. And on his YouTube channel, he put out some videos, and those videos started going like really great, like better than almost anything he's done on his channel. And the funny thing is, I mean, it's not funny. It's like, it's funny and it's good, but it's like unfortunate at the same time, is that in that particular case, like these videos are just doing awesome, but it's not heading him in the direction that he actually wants to go through the conversations that we've had, but he's, still doing it because those vanity numbers, they feel good. And it also, gets the message out and things like that. But those vanity numbers are addictive. So when you have nice, clear goals that you're going after, then those become less important. I mean, you still need some of that stuff in order to, bring attention to the things you're trying to bring attention to, and to, gain that success, so to speak. But if you have a clear goal, then, making the decision when you have a video blow up like that, or you have a live stream blow up like that, when you have that clear goal, then all you have to do is say, okay, this is great, but to keep me from getting distracted, do I want to keep publishing more videos like this? Like, are these going to help me actually achieve the goal that I have, or are these going to help me drive the channel in the direction that, that I want it to go? So when it comes to, there we go. Had to clear some naughtiness out of the chat here. But the idea, on the goal side of things is it helps you there. But the most important thing when it comes to your goals is it also helps you know who it is that you're making content for. Because when you know what it is that you're after, then the next thing you have to do is start painting a picture of, okay, well, what type of content do I need to make, and who is it that I need to serve with my content in order to, to help me achieve whatever it is that I'm trying to achieve. So it just helps you paint this picture much easier on exactly what it is you need to do, what it is you need to track, and who it is that you need to serve in order to get you to whatever it is that you are trying to accomplish. And again, that can be, big things, it can be small things, whatever, but the idea is just to help you maintain that focus. And then that brings me to the next thing on this list, which is make sure you understand who it is that you're trying to reach with your content. So it's really easy for all of us as a content creator. It's so easy to, when you publish a video and that video does well, to just say, or, when you do a live stream and that live stream does well, to just say, you know what, yeah, this is it. This is the path that I'm walking. And that can, in some cases, that can be, a really good call, but in other cases, it can lead you away from what it is that, that you're actually trying to do. So when you have that goal, and then, the audience that you're trying to reach that will help you achieve that goal that you can also serve, in return, and add value to them in return, then in that particular case, it makes everything crystal clear on your journey as a content creator. So for example, let's say that you have an opportunity come along where somebody's wanting to sponsor you and they're wanting to give you money to, promote their business or whatever, to bring attention to what it is that they do. All you have to do is run it through a filter. Is this a good fit for the goals that I have? And is this a good fit for the audience that I'm developing here? And if the answer is yes, then it's a good fit. Of course, if it's a good product and service too, then it's a good fit. And if the answer is like, well, I'm not 100% sure. No is the answer, right? So it just helps make those types of things really, really easy. And when it comes to knowing your audience, a lot of people on YouTube, especially, just social media in general, they look at niching down for an audience as kind of like a limitation to what they can do. But really, it's really freeing when and you're crystal clear on who it is that you're trying to reach. Because the example that I like to give is, let's say, because you're here on the StreamYard channel right now. So let's say that you show up to the StreamYard channel and you're watching content like this that you're watching right now, and you're getting a lot of really good information here and all of that. Well, here on the StreamYard channel, we could also make like a YouTube short where it was a skit and it was two live streamers talking about common things that live streamers, typically do, but not necessarily like a tips video, but just some little banter between them in a comical type of format that live streamers would be able to relate to. As long as it's serving that audience, then that would still be a win, right? So when it comes to knowing who it is that you're after in terms of who it is that you're serving with your content, the idea is it actually helps make that side of things a lot more freeing and a lot easier for you to be able to make all kinds of different content, because then you just run it through the filter of, is this something that would resonate with the people that I'm trying to reach? Yes or no? If it's yes, then hey, give it a shot, go for it and see how they like it. If the answer is no, then in that case, to shelf that one, maybe put it on another channel or something like that. But the idea is, when you know your target audience, it helps with, those types of things. In addition to that, when you know who it is that you're trying to reach, you can also add things that I call audience identifiers. And what those are is, in your thumbnails and your titles that you have on YouTube, those are two things that people make their entire decision on when it comes to them deciding on watching or interacting with your content or not. So because of that, it's a good idea, as long as your content type supports this, to insert audience identifiers when needed. So for example, the thumbnail that I have for this stream right now, I have live streaming going right across the top. That is an audience identifier, right? So then I have live streaming, then I have, last year and then this year. So that helps, live streamers identify that it's for them, and it's the key focus of the thumbnail. It's in red, so it, pulls the most attention, so that when a live streamer sees it, it helps them know, hey, this is something that I might be interested in. And they'll look at the title, and if it makes sense to them, then they'll come in and watch this stream, and you might be one of those people. You are actually, that came in, from that. So in addition to that, you also have with the audience identifiers, like on my main channel, I always talk about like YouTubers in my title, or YouTube, or new YouTubers, depending on the actual video that I'm putting out. And that just helps the right people know that my content's for them. And by doing that, that also, because those are the people that are going to be clicking on it and not everybody else. So then that also helps train YouTube faster of who the right people are to show your content to, because you're getting the right people to click on it. And as long as they enjoy it, then YouTube will continue to show that content to more people. So because of that, knowing your target audience is extremely important. And when you do start to uncover your audience, like it might be crystal clear to you right now, but if it's not, and you're like, hey, I'm making this type of content, and this is the goal that I have, and this is the type of content I'm going to make, and this is the audience that I'm trying to reach, go on Facebook, go on Reddit, go anywhere online, Discord, wherever, where the people that you are trying to reach are hanging out. And make sure you embed yourself in those groups so you can get to understand the nuance of those communities that you're trying to reach. Because when you do that, it's going to help you better be able to reach them through your packaging in terms of topics, titles, and thumbnails of your content. And then it's also going to help you resonate better with them when they are interacting with your content, because you're going to understand the nuances of the things that they care about, the things they don't care about. And even when it comes to the second part of this stream today, which is making money, it also lets you know the right things to bring to their attention, or the things that they typically buy, the companies they typically love, the companies they typically don't like, things like that. And that's going to be extremely advantageous to you. So when you have your clear goals, you know who the people are that you're trying to reach. The next thing that you got to make sure that you're doing when it comes to growing your audience is you have to make sure that you're thinking about your content over time. So almost spilled my my amazing StreamYard mug here. But basically, when it comes to thinking of your content over time, I think I did spill it. The days are gone of just making like one piece of content at a time. And the reason those days are gone is because binge watching is something that is extremely advantageous to you as a content creator. So what you want to make sure that you're thinking about, and not just binge watching in one session, but people continuing to come back to your YouTube channel. That's kind of like a holy grail, so to speak, for YouTube. If people just continually keep coming back and watching your content, then it helps their system more easily find other people like the people that are the most engaged in what it is that you're doing. But when it comes to thinking of your content over time, the idea is not just thinking, okay, it's Tuesday, I got to make a video. Instead of thinking it's Tuesday and I have to make a video, give yourself, every month, give yourself a nice handful of hours to just sit down and think, okay, this month, this is the content that I'm publishing. These are the videos that I'm going to be making. These are the live streams that I'm going to be doing. How can I make these, if I start on the first week of the month, how can I make it to where the content that I publish the first week of the month and then the content that I publish the second week of the month, the people that watch this content here, it's going to make sense for them to want to watch the content that I'm going to be publishing next week. And then it's going to make sense for them to want to watch the content that I'm publishing next week, because I'm going to try to take them on a journey, so to speak, through the content that I'm publishing, through the value that I'm adding in that content. So when you start thinking of your content in sets like that, then one of the things that you do there is you start bringing more people back to your channel on a regular basis. And then as you do that, that helps, like I said before, that helps YouTube better understand the right people to show your content to based on the people that are most engaged with your channel. So one, it helps you just grow your community overall, which is always a win. But two, it also helps train their system on the things that are the people that are most engaged in your content, so that they can use that as a way to find other users on the platform that the system thinks might enjoy your content as well. As part of this, you also want to make sure that you are telling viewers your schedule. So you want to make sure that if you are streaming, and this is one of the things I'm going to talk about here in just a second, but you want to make sure that you are spreading awareness about your schedule if you're streaming. And the reason for that is because live streams are a little bit different than video content on YouTube. So when it comes to live streams, especially if you're doing long live streams, if you're doing like 30-minute or 1 hour live streams, totally different experience than if you're doing like 5 or 10-minute or 15-minute videos. So because of that, you want to make sure, because the live experience is so important, you want to make sure that you're letting people know your live stream schedule. So for example, here on the StreamYard channel, with the exception of this stream and I think one other one last year, I stream on the last Tuesday of every month on the StreamYard channel talking about YouTube. So by knowing that, and by me telling you that, you know that if you want to learn more about YouTube as it relates to live streaming, then in that particular case, you want to show up here next, or at the end of this month, actually, on the last Tuesday. So that's the idea of spreading the awareness about your schedule, because when you do that, then people know when to show up. And if you do it repeatedly, then people will know. They'll be like, okay, well, hey, it's this day of the week or these days of the week, and I'm just kind of hanging out, and oh, hey, such and such is streaming today. I'm going to hop on YouTube or just check in on my phone and see, or Facebook or wherever, and I'm going to see where I can see if they're streaming, because they're supposedly streaming at 9 o'clock or whatever time it is that you set. So the idea there is that you're just spreading awareness about the schedule. Also, another thing that you want to make sure that you're doing within your content is you want to make sure that you are also telling viewers about the content that you have coming as well. And the reason that you want to do this is because this is going to encourage people to subscribe in a subtle way. So for example, like we have Creator Classroom in the house. So since she's in here, so let's say, for example, she has a live stream because on her channel, she basically teaches content creators about how to use Canva for everything related to YouTube. So what she would do is during her live stream, or, she could do this in her video content as well. But the idea is to say, like, hey, you're enjoying this, so on and so forth. By the way, I've got a video coming out here in a couple of weeks about fill in the blank, something that would be relevant to the audience that's watching at that point in time. And by doing that, that's a subtle way to encourage people to subscribe without saying, hey, make sure you subscribe to the channel, right? But just as a quick heads up, though, those calls to action to tell people to subscribe or to remind people to subscribe, those are wildly effective. But the next thing is, of course, you also want to make sure that you're experimenting if you're live streaming and with video content as well. You want to make sure that you're experimenting with what it is that you're doing. The reason for this is because you'll uncover gold through experiments. So you don't want to be flipping from thing to thing all the time. You want to give things a certain amount of time to work out. However, through experimentation and trying to come up with different ways that you can serve the people that you are, that you're serving with your content, the experiments will help you uncover things that could just help you thrive in a major way. So for example, you know what? I have it up here. Let me pull it up. So for example, I did a full stream about this in detail here on the StreamYard channel. I think it was my last stream that I did here. So feel free to check that out. But I just want to show you just an example here that came from experimentation. So typically on my main YouTube channel, what I would do is I would, just do these like hangout live streams that are like 3 hours and some change long for almost all of them. And then I said, hey, let me try to experiment with something and just see how people like it. And I started doing news every Friday. And as soon as I started doing that news, you can see here that my long streams, I've got almost 7,000 views here, almost 9,000 views here. I've got 14,000 views on that one, which is good. Almost 8,000 on this one. But when it comes to the news, these are shorter. These are like 9 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes here, 5 minutes here. 11,000 views, 63,000 views, 15,000 views, 14,000 views. Let me scroll this up really quick. 101,000 views. It's pretty awesome, right? For a live stream. 24,000 views up here, 47,000 views up here, 64,000 views up here. And this is just from experimentation. And if I didn't experiment, if I was like, hey, this is my live stream and this is the way that I'm doing it because this is how I've done it, and then I wouldn't have found that. And I wouldn't have been able to, add that additional value to the people that watch my content. And I wouldn't have been able to win on, all of the, view counts that I'm getting from that experiment playing out. So when it comes to, growing your audience, especially with live streaming, that experimentation with, okay, I've got these long streams that I do because there's kind of like this unwritten standard when it comes to live streaming that you have to stream for 30 minutes or you have to stream for an hour. But in reality, you can stream for 5 minutes. And like I just showed you, a 5-minute, stream or an 11-minute stream, 101,000 views on that if the topic's right and, all of that. So because of that, just make sure that you're experimenting as part of your, growth sprint so that you can make sure that you are, giving yourself those opportunities to possibly uncover something that can really kind of kick things into overdrive for you. And the next thing, of course, and this one kind of goes without saying, but you also want to make sure that you are picking and I kind of touched on this a second ago, but you want to make sure that you are picking a streaming or publishing schedule that you can stick to for the next year and commit to it. So for the people that are in here right now, who here wants to be in a totally different position this time next year and have, people coming in and hanging out in their live streams on a regular basis and just have a thriving presence online this time next year? If that's you, just say me in the comments right now. But what I want you to do is I want you to commit. If you're just getting into live streaming, or if you're like, hey, I'm going to take it a little bit more serious this year or a lot more serious this year, right now, commit to doing it just for a year. Just say, okay, this next year, I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to show up consistently. I'm going to do these things that Nick is talking about, and I'm going to commit to it for this next 365 days. I'm going to check in this time next year, and I'm going to see, my progress. But basically, I'm going to commit to making it happen this year by simply learning the platforms that I'm wanting to thrive on, and that can be Facebook or YouTube or wherever. Excuse me. Learning the platforms, learning your audience, of course, making sure that you're setting goals, and then, of course, continuing to show up and continue to publish without fail for the entire next 365 days. And I don't mean daily content. I just mean whatever schedule you can commit to that you can work comfortably into your lifestyle. That's what you want to do. And I know that at the beginning of the year right now, it's super tempting to be like, hey, I'm going all in. I'm going to go as hard as I've ever gone. And I'm just going to go like, I'm just going hog wild. That's good. However, just make sure that you're doing it at a pace that you're going to be able to sustain, because you don't want to burn yourself out by February, right? So just make sure that you are, doing everything at a pace that you can sustain for the next 365 days, but commit, right? Commit to it, because, this will be your year if you make it your year, right? But you have to take the actions to make that, to actually do the thing. But in addition to that, when you are publishing on that regular basis, make sure, and this is the part about YouTube that kind of sucks for some people, is make sure that you are analyzing everything that you're doing. Make sure that you're learning YouTube analytics. And the reason that you want to do this, and because of all the numbers and graphs and everything, some people just don't like it, and I understand that. But the YouTube analytics can teach you so much about how people are interacting with your content to help you fine-tune things, to make decisions that will help propel you into like different, I don't want to say different realms because that's kind of a weird thing to say, but it'll propel you into like different milestones. I don't know, just different levels of your, of your content, creator process, so to speak. But you want to make sure that you are doing that. And also remember that you are, like if you're just getting started with this, or if you're, starting to walk down that path right now, and let's say you're kind of like that entry phase, then in that particular case, just know that sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it takes time to get the ball rolling. So embrace the learning curve, because there is one and it's kind of steep. So embrace the learning curve and commit to that next 365 days, and just make sure you are knowing that, it can take some time. So it might take you 2 months to start picking up some momentum. It might take you 3 months. It might take you till, it could happen tomorrow. But the idea is that sometimes that it takes time. So just, be ready for that in terms of, when you're tracking everything and you're analyzing what it is that you're doing. So now let's talk about making money. So when it comes to making money on the internet, it's a lot easier than people think. It's not easy, but it's a lot easier than people think. You do have to have certain skills that you put into place, but even just live streaming and just making video content, I'm saying just kind of jokingly, because, there's tons of, stuff that you have to, learn and all that stuff there too. But when it comes to making money, the easiest barrier to entry on social media is, of course, the on-platform stuff, because you don't have to learn anything new. So basically, YouTube ads, YouTube super chats, YouTube memberships, those types of things. That's the easiest barrier to entry to making money on social media, because you don't have to, go through any other processes except focusing on just having great streams that people enjoy and adding value through those. And of course, publishing videos that people enjoy as well. But when it comes to the other things, this is also one of those things that as you are committing to the next 365 days, you also need to schedule some time for. And when I say schedule time, here's what I mean. So in your life, you got to sleep, you have to work, you have to do, any of your social stuff that you do, you have to, hang out with your family or your friends or whatever. And those are just, all given things. You also have the content that you're going to be putting out. So I recommend that every month you schedule days that are like video research days, video topic days, things like that. You schedule the times that your content's going to be going out. You schedule time to work on, scripting or anything else that you're doing, putting out your bullet points, just kind of flushing out your ideas, working on, getting your audio and video tuned in, things like that. Schedule it. And the reason that you want to schedule it is because if you schedule it, just like showing up to a doctor's appointment, you're going to show up. But if you don't schedule it, then it'll just be a thing that you'll work on like when you get the time. And that time's never going to be there unless you actually schedule the time to do it or commit that time to doing it. But the reason I'm saying that is because some of these other things are also going to take some of that time. So as part of that scheduling of saying, hey, these days of the month, I'm going to work on these particular things, also schedule in a day or two of learning some of these other monetization methods that I'm getting ready to talk about. So when it comes to monetizing your content, the most core, I won't say the most core, but the most common ways that people monetize this stuff is on platform, like I just mentioned, through your own products or services. So I know, as StreamYard users, there's a lot of people here that are real estate agents or have their own business, or they work for other companies and they're trying to bring attention to those companies and things like that. So, your own products or services are, one of the ways that you monetize. Affiliate marketing, crowdfunding, merchandise, sponsorships, driving people to email or SMS opt-ins, things like that. But all of those things, with the exception of the on-platform stuff, all of those take additional, time to learn. So make sure that you schedule them in. But once you decide the different ways that you're going to monetize, and really quick, before I get into that, I do want to drop a disclaimer in here. So when it comes to YouTube, a lot of people, when they're starting, will think, I'm not going to start monetizing what it is that I'm doing until I get X amount of subscribers on my YouTube channel, or until I get X amount of followers on my Facebook page, or until I get X amount of followers over on TikTok or wherever it is. And the problem with that is, if you are someone that's taking that approach, I want you to start thinking of the content that you're putting out in a different way. Every piece of content you put out, be it a YouTube short, be it a live stream, be it a piece of video content, whatever it is, when you put it out, you have that piece of content that is out there working for you on your behalf, okay? And what I mean by that is that piece of content can help you serve or reach a goal that you're trying to reach. So if you wait until you have 5,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel to start using some of these, alternate ways of monetization, then you could have a whole army of videos that could be working for you on your behalf to drive sales here and there, right? To bring attention to some of these ways of monetization. But if you go ahead and start putting at least one of these other things into practice now, then as your YouTube channel grows and as your online presence grows, then your income will grow along with it. And when your income grows along with it, then that makes everything sustainable, right? So because of that, you want to make sure that you don't push all of that to the side. You want to make sure that these are things that you're considering now, and that you are thinking of how you can go ahead and start implementing these into what it is that you're doing. And we're going to talk about that here, exactly how to do that here in just a minute. But when it comes to your own products or services, of course, those products or services can be, actual services that you offer for whatever it is that you do. When it comes to products, you can make digital products around the type of content that you make in some cases. That doesn't apply to everyone. But like gamers, you can make game guides that, people will buy. You can do like cool maps of certain things, highlighting all the different, places where they can find stuff that they can, just look at on their phone when they're trying to find whatever it is in the game, those types of things. If you're teaching people anything, then there's a gazillion ways to monetize that. So for example, I'm just going to say Creator Classroom again. So like in her case, because she teaches people about Canva, what she can do is she could put together like Canva templates and things like that and make those available for sale. But when I'm talking about, your own products or services, you can do those types of things, right? So that's one way to monetize. When it comes to affiliate marketing, if you're not familiar with what affiliate marketing is, that's where you sign up for, let's say, like the Amazon partner program or anything else as an affiliate. And when you sign up for an affiliate program, they will give you a unique tracking link. And when you put that tracking link in your video descriptions and you let people know that it's down there, maybe you make some videos about it or you talk about it in your live stream. Again, we're going to talk about that in detail here in just a minute. But what you do is when somebody clicks on that link and they make a purchase, then you get a commission. So a really great way to kind of speed up the money-making process side of things is to make sure that you're thinking about, with some of your content, the hard sell and the soft sell. So what that means is you have the hard sell, which is like, hey, I'm making a video about this thing that I'm trying to bring attention to or that I'm trying to make money off of as an affiliate. Then that's a hard sell, because like, hey, I'm showing people this whole thing and I'm like, hey, links down in the description, go pick one up for yourself. If this answered your questions or whatever, you have that as kind of the hard sale. And then you have the soft sale, which is where you mention those things in your other content. So that soft sale is like, okay, let's say, for example, I was talking about these coffee cups, right? So I would just be making a video like I am right now, and then I could say something about this coffee cup, be like, oh man, I absolutely love this. And if I have it linked up in my description, I could be like, I could make this a part of the content where I mention it. And then I could say something like, yeah, this mug is like wildly bigger than, than your standard mug. And, the way it fits on my hand, just fantastic. If you want to try one of these for yourself, I got a link in the description. But anyway, let's get back on topic and blah, blah, blah. So the soft sell there is to where you just kind of integrate it into your content a little bit. But the idea, and again, we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But the idea with affiliate marketing is if you are going to do that, you want to make sure that you are thinking through where a buyer would be the most likely to get something, right? So if you're doing the hard sells, those typically will end up converting better, like review videos and things like that. And if you are doing the soft sells, then your conversions are going to be lower, but they're going to be there and people will end up converting through those things. So you want to make sure that you are, considering that. Next, we have crowdfunding. So when it comes to crowdfunding, that's where you set up like a Patreon account. On YouTube, we have channel memberships if, that's something that, that you have available at this point in time. But if you're just getting started through crowdfunding, you can set up like a Patreon account or even a Buy Me a Coffee account or something like that. And then people can go to Patreon for additional content or something else that you would provide there. And through Buy Me a Coffee, they can do similar things. And when you do crowdfunding, the idea there is to just simply let people know that you have those groups available, or that you have those things available so that if they are interested, that they can go, and participate. You have merch like the StreamYard merch that I'm wearing, right now. This cup would technically be merch. This StreamYard pillow, I'm like all StreamYarded out today, but this pillow, which is always in my videos, but this pillow back here, that's also StreamYard merch. But like when it comes to merch, you can have stuff like this too. Like I've got a bunch of Niminati merch. I got like a whole closet full of stuff. I've got like a spread shop store that just has, a bunch of stuff, related to Niminati. But I also have, and this is what I'm trying to get to here with this merch thing, I also have things that actually resonate with the people that are interacting with my content. So I serve content creators. So because of that, some of my merch is like, hey, ask me about my YouTube channel, or, remember to subscribe to, my YouTube channel, things like that, so that people can wear them in their videos or they can wear them out in the world, those sorts of things to just kind of help bring awareness to what it is that they're doing. Those, for me, sell more than the ones with my logos on them. So if you are going to get into merch, just make sure that you're considering that and that you do have your logo stuff for like your super fans, but then you also have some things that your community resonates with that maybe they find funny or, that would add some type of utility to them in some way. And by doing that, then you are giving yourself two different options there in terms of selling to them. Yeah, fanny packs. So Captain Bapton says that he says he loves fanny packs. Okay, got it. So the idea there is just to make sure that you are considering, merch as well. And then of course you have sponsorships where, once you get the ball rolling, and you don't even have to have a lot of followers to get sponsorships. You just have to have a good, strong brand, and you have to be able to add value to the brands that you're working with. But sponsorships are another way. And then of course, driving people to emails or SMSs, SMS opt-ins is another. But once you decide what you're going to bring attention to, and this is important, you want to make sure that you are bringing attention to everything, and you want to make sure that if you are monetizing in these different ways, that remember before when I was talking about planning those days out of the month, that you're going to look at your content and that you're going to start thinking of your content as sets instead of individual videos. The reason that you want to do that, in addition to people being able to binge watch it, people coming back to the channel, is it's also a way to get a bigger picture of the content that you're going to be publishing so that you can say, okay, for this video here, it'd be a great fit for this if I mentioned StreamYard in this video. It'd be a great video or a great fit for this one if I mentioned my channel membership here. It'd be great for this if I mentioned, if I just happened to wear, one of my pieces of merch and just mentioned that I have it available. That'd be perfect for this video. Those types of things. So when you are, planning your content out and you have these different ways to monetize, you can make sure that you're inserting the ones that, that you're trying to bring attention to. But over time, what you want to do is you want to start narrowing that down to where most of your focus goes to the things that end up being more lucrative, right? Of course. So you just start with like, hey, I'm going to start, trying all these different things. I'm going to insert them into my content, but based on the conversions over time, you want to start doubling down on the things that, end up being more, profitable on your end to, help you, make more money. But The next thing is you want to make sure that you take those links, be it, affiliate links or links to anything that you're bringing attention to, make sure that you put them in your video descriptions. So some content creators do it to where they'll just have on mine, I'll have it to where it says tools and services I recommend or other YouTube tools that I recommend. And under there, I just have a list of things that add value to content creators. And with some of those, they go to my websites because we have a free music service for content creators. I got a website that where content creators can get graphics, things like that. But then I also put StreamYard in all my descriptions. I put TubeBuddy in all my descriptions. I put Camtasia in all my descriptions. I put Placeit in my descriptions. I put some Amazon links going out to books and things like that in my descriptions. But if you go look at my descriptions, you'll see that I have this list of stuff and it's in this block, right? So in your case, what you would do is all those different ways that you monetize, you do that. If there's tools that people use in your industry, you would do that. And one other thing when it comes to adding things to your description that I want to just highlight because I see this mistake all the time. So content creators, because they make content, the easy default is I'm going to put the equipment that I use in my description, right? And a lot of people will actually recommend that you do this as well. I disagree with that. The only reason that you want to put the equipment that you use down in your video description is if you're serving content creators. And I mean the equipment you use to make content. If you are in front of content creators, that would be relevant to them and it makes sense. So for example, Creator Classroom, which seems to be the highlight of our stream today. In her case, if she put a list of hey, this is all the stuff that I use to make my videos, that makes sense because she has content creators watching her videos. But if, let's see here, Petty Talks TV is doing that same thing and they don't have, an audience of content creators, then they're missing an opportunity. That's why it's a mistake. So what you want to think about is the things that you list on your description on a regular basis, you want to make sure that you are thinking of the relevance of that list to the audience that you're reaching. So for example, let's see if I can find somebody. Okay, Hybrid Steel. What's up, dude? Hope you're doing awesome. So glad you got your channel back too, by the way. But so Hybrid Steel, right? So Mike, what he could do is in his case, because, he plays games. So of course he could link out to, most of that stuff is done in the Play Store, but if he wanted to, he could try to link out to Amazon where people could get, the PlayStation gift cards there for the people that do that. For people that don't have credit cards, that kind of stuff, then they can use those. He could do his setup. He could say this is the controller that I use. This is the keyboard that I use. This is all the different specs of my computer that help me have, just super solid, gaming streams and things like that. So he could list out all of that stuff because it would be relevant to the people that are watching his content that are into the games that he plays. So when you start taking that approach and you think to yourself, okay, the stuff that I have in my description, I just have to make sure that it's relevant to my audience. Then you'll sell more stuff, right? You're bringing attention to it in your content, but then more people will convert into sales because you are linking to the right things that are relevant to the audience that you're reaching, right? So that's the idea. Next, if you have a product or service or website that you're trying to bring attention to, make sure that you also put that in the header of your YouTube channel. So every YouTube channel, and here I'll go back to mine again. So every YouTube channel for desktop users has the option where you can put a link right up here, and I hope you can see that mouse moving. But they have the option to put a link right up here. So in my case, this is click for free music because I'm bringing awareness to our free music service, right? Next to that, I have my website where people can get graphics. So with both of these, I use this as an awareness thing to help people, know that that's where they can get the stuff. Now, in addition to that, you can see I have click for free music. So I put an actual call to action here. I don't put free music. I don't put creator mix because that's the name of our service. I don't put creator mix because none of that is a real call to action to get somebody to click. But when I put click for free music, it makes a lot more sense. So for example, if you have a business and you're trying to bring attention to that business, you don't want to put our website, right? You want to put contact for a quote or, learn contact for a quote, get in touch here, let us remodel your home would be too big, but, hire me, that kind of stuff. That's the text that you want to use there in order to, encourage people to click and give them some context of what's going to be behind that. Okay. So you want to make sure that you're using that. If you are a company, or you're providing a product or service, same thing goes with this spot right here. On your YouTube channel, you have the option to add a subscribed video for people that are subscribed. That's what you're seeing here now. And if somebody's not subscribed, they also see a different video. So you can see for desktop users, this is a little bit different for mobile users, but for desktop users, you can see we also have description text here. So you can also add a link here to your company or your website also, so that you don't miss that opportunity as well. So make sure that you're doing those things so that you can bring attention to, the things that are important to you when you are, for some of you, that's like the whole reason that you're doing YouTube, but people mess that up even when it's, the whole reason that they're doing YouTube in the first place, to bring attention to their product or service. You want to make sure that you are, doing that. And just so you know, on YouTube, you can put 5 links there, but only the very first one you get the text for. So make sure that you're also prioritizing those accordingly. And if you do have a product or service and you're trying to make money from what it is that you're doing, don't even waste these links on social media, right? Don't waste these links on like, hey, follow me on TikTok or follow me on Instagram. Just make it, you got one option here, or like in my case, 2 options, because I have 2 things that, that I'm trying to bring attention to right now. So it's like, hey, this is the thing or the couple of things, and it doesn't matter which way people go. They'll either end up, checking out your, website, or at least learning about what it is that you're doing or whatever. So you want to make sure you're doing that. Now, when it comes to that link on a mobile device, just as a heads up for you here that are, trying to make money or just bring attention to your, product, service, or website, on a mobile device, you can see the links that are on the channel header are also down here as well in the About Me page on YouTube. On a mobile device, that's where they are. So they don't come up in the channel header. However, on a mobile device, you have a description. And that description for your YouTube channel, and I'm just going to show you here really quick. I'm going to pull up my channel so you can see it. So that description, you can see it right underneath my channel name there, right? So it has my channel banner, my profile picture, and then this little blurb of text that lets people know what it is that I do, the value they get from my YouTube channel. That's clickable. So what I do, just because, I'm like super hyper focused on like optimizing everything and all that, it's just a problem I have with my brain. So, so here I've put a little click for info with a little emoji so that when people are reading that description, that it will send them, right? They click on that because it's clickable. When they click on that, this is what they see on page load, and you can see my links down here at the bottom that also bring attention to those things that I'm trying to bring attention to. So you want to make sure that you're doing that as well, okay? Next, if you have a offer, I already talked to you about the hard sells and the soft sells, but we just had like an influx of viewers. So because of that, I'm gonna touch on that topic again really quick. So when it comes to the hard sells and soft sells, when you're trying to make money through the content that you're publishing, the hard sells are where you make content featuring the product, right? It can be a review video. It can be a live stream where you're just talking about that thing. Those are hard sells. And with those, you're literally telling people like, go get this. These are the highlights, that sort of thing. And then you have the soft sells where you bring it up. Now, as part of the soft sell, if you're somebody that is offering a service where you are, doing something for your clients, then in that particular case, as part of the soft sell, what you want to do is on a regular basis in your content, mention your clients. You don't have to name them, you just have to mention them. So what I mean by this is, so let's say you're a roofer, right? In that case, you're like, okay, we were, roofer's a bad example, but we'll just run with it for the sake of this demonstration. But when it comes to like the roofer example, it's like, hey, you're, talking something about, roofing, whatever. And then you're like, we were working on a client's roof, this weekend, blah, blah. This is a horrible example because if you're a roofer, everybody knows that you're a roofer when they're watching that content. So horrible example, but Insane McLean, you got that one. But anyway, so let's say, for example, you are somebody that does like life coaching, right? And I'm just throwing that one out there because it's super, super broad. Then in that case, what you could do is you would mention your clients then in that regard, even though your YouTube channel is just, already giving people life coaching. When you mention your clients, that brings the awareness to the people that are watching your content that you actually work with people. Because one of the things that we always assume when we're providing products or services is that everybody knows about it, but they don't. So because of that, when they're watching your content, people don't automatically know that you provide those services. So because of that, if you just mention, I was working with a client this weekend, with this breathing exercise, and one of the the things that, we found really, or that they found, really invigorating or really, exciting or refreshing about that breathing exercise is that, in addition to the actual breathing and getting that oxygen, it also kind of helped them work on their posture while they were sitting. Right? Kind of a weird example, but I'm just trying to express the idea in terms of, that soft sell, just letting people know that you have that stuff available. Same exact thing goes for, like in this example, how I've mentioned like our music service a few times. You can do that as well, to where it just ends up being mentioned somewhere in your content, and it's just a thing in passing. So it's like, hey, we have this, blah, 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 but it's not necessarily like a go get this thing, right? So it's we got this thing, it's in the description if you want to check it out, but anyway, blah, blah, blah. So it's just a really, soft in passing type of thing. But by doing that, you're bringing awareness that you have those things available, and that if you are offering services, that you are, you're bringing awareness that you're offering those services, because people don't know by default. Next, you want to make sure that you're adding tracking to everything that you can. I know that in some cases, just based on convenience or whatever, it's easier to just bounce things off your own website versus, doing like, Google UTM links or something. But depending on, your level of understanding with that sort of thing, you want to try to track what you can. And the reason for that is because through tracking, you're going to start uncovering what content you make that converts the most, regardless of what it is that you're driving traffic to. It doesn't matter if it's crowdfunding. It doesn't matter if it is, or at least gets the most clicks. It doesn't matter if it's crowdfunding. It doesn't matter if it's affiliate stuff. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're tracking those clicks, then that lets you know the content that's converting, right? In terms of getting people to take action on clicking those links. So you want to make sure that you're tracking as much as you can, so that when you start noticing that content that is typically getting more clicks, then you can say, okay, this is interesting. Every time I make videos that are in this format, people seem to click on them a lot more. They click on these links a lot more. Therefore, when I'm putting my content strategy together for the month, like we talked about earlier, or for the next 90 days, then what I can do is I need to make sure that I'm injecting into my content over, the next 90 days, that I'm injecting X amount of that type of format of content, because it is proven on my channel through the tracking that I've done that typically drives more clicks to these things I'm trying to bring awareness to. Okay. So that's the idea. That's the idea with that. Now, another thing that you can do here is, if you do have things that you have available in your description, other ways that you can bring attention to them is by having little graphics that pop up to let people know that you have, things available in your description. You can also have, if you're trying to bring attention to your website or your product or service, you can have a lower third, which is basically a little graphic that pops up in the lower third of your screen, like down here, and it has your name and it would have your website on it. So then you're spreading awareness of where they can find, more about you or your product or service through that. So, using those graphics are helpful. You could even watermark your video with that. Right? Not your full name, not something big and intrusive, but just a little, kind of subtle, just like website URL down in the corner. And by doing that, what you are doing is you are giving yourself the opportunity to spread awareness about the things that are going to be driving you revenue. Okay. One more thing I want to bring to your attention as well, when it comes to the affiliate side, and I know everybody knows this already, but I just have to say it. You also want to make sure that when you are bringing attention to things, you want to make sure that you're only bringing attention to things that you truly know that the people that are going to be purchasing them, that they're going to get value from them. And the reason for that is because if you're just throwing a bunch of stuff at people and you're like, this isn't really that great, but I'll make a lot of money off of it, then what's going to happen is people will lose faith in you. They'll lose trust in you and the things that you recommend. So because of that, what you want to do is you want to make sure that everything you're recommending is stuff that you stand behind. Because if you don't, and you're just kind of shilling it, then what's going to happen is people are going to identify that. So for example, on YouTube, there's this thing that happens, and you may or may not know this, but it's called an embargo. So what happens is, like, let's say that there's a company that puts out, like this new, device. Like, let's say they put out like they're putting out a microphone or, like whatever, new camera, whatever. They'll give it, even if it's a toaster or a microwave or like this new refrigerator or whatever, they'll give it to the right content creators that are in front of the right audiences that will bring attention to that thing. And then with these embargoes, what happens is within the contracts that the content creators sign, they say, okay, you cannot publish it until this day. You can't even let people know about it until this day. And then on this day, everybody publishes it around the same time. And then what happens is you see your, whole YouTube feed just completely filled up with, that particular product. So on the trust side of things, when I see those, I'm like everybody's kind of bringing attention to this. So because of that, I'm going to take the recommendation with a grain of salt. It's just my thing. So because of that, just make sure that everything that you're doing, and again, I know everybody here is doing this already, but just make sure that you're thinking like the long game. And like, as long as I keep adding value to people and I keep recommending them things that they actually get value from, they're going to keep taking my recommendations, which means long-term, you're going to do way better, which is the ultimate goal, right? So let's see here, website. Okay. So when it comes to your live streams, let's get back to the live streams as well. So another thing that you can do as well when it comes to some of these things, like if you're doing affiliate marketing, then in that particular case, or if you have your own product or services, you can also make sure that you are adding segments to your show that allow you to highlight those items. So that can be, to where you just have, a segment where maybe you, where you're like, okay, so now we have this part of the show where we do X, where we review, hey, it's our product of the week. And then that helps you bring attention to those, particular things that, you might have otherwise had difficulty bringing attention to. In live streaming, this is incredibly helpful, because in live streaming, sometimes based on, the types of content that is usually best for live streaming, it can be kind of difficult to bring attention to certain things. So because of that, when you make those moments in time to where it's like, hey, it's part of the show, it's part of the thing that we're doing. And, we have this, 10-minute segment every single week where we have our product of the week, or 5 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever. And we have our product of the week where we highlight this thing, its features, and how it helps the people that we're serving with our content. Jason T. Lewis in the house. What's up, my man? Hope you're doing awesome. Painfully Honest text says, never sell something you wouldn't use. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, when it comes to that, though, doing that is definitely going to be helpful. And I already mentioned the thing about making sure that you are only linking things in your description that are relevant to the audience that is interacting with your content. Because if you're just linking to a bunch of stuff down there for the sake of linking to it, you're just wasting those links, and those are off-site links that aren't doing you any benefit anyway. So they're actually, kind of working against you, sort of, instead of actually benefiting you and your viewers. So just make sure everything you're linking to is relevant. So what we're going to do now is we are going to go into a Q&A part of our stream today. So if you have a question about anything that I've talked about, now is the time to go ahead and drop your question in the chat. What you want to do is you want to put a Q in front of your question so that I know that it's for me and not a side conversation that's happening in the chat. But if you put a Q in front of your question, if anybody has any questions, you might not. But if you do have any questions, definitely put a Q and let me know your question, and I'll get it answered here for you before we head off. So Creator Classroom says, I'd love to know more about membership options in the YouTube Partner Program private live streams. Yeah, so when it comes to membership options, like what you can do, of course, like in your case, you can do all kinds of fun stuff just like I can. So what you can do, Creator Classroom, Jennifer, is you can offer things to where it's like, hey, you join my membership, you get like a monthly free download, is one option. You can have it to where you do private live streams for them. You can do it to where you do private community posts to where, let's say you have like it could be a template you upload. It could be just like a quick tip that you add to your community feed, something like that for your members. That kind of stuff is the direction that I'm heading here in 2023 with my memberships, because I'm going to be changing everything with my memberships, because I'm not 100% happy with how I'm currently doing things. So I'm going to be, making those adjustments and doing similar things to what it is that I'm talking about there. Let's see here. Square Table Degenerates, what's going on? Hope you're doing awesome. Says, is there a way for StreamYard to remove that fading at the end of the video clips? I put my clips up to the second, and it really messed up the end of a lot of them. I'm not sure, but what I can tell you is that they do have a Facebook group. It's called StreamYard Official Facebook group, I think. And if you go there, they do take feature requests. So if you put that in there, if enough people are like, yeah, totally, I totally agree with that, then there's a good chance that they may do something about that. Project Equestrian, hey, what's going on? Hope you're doing great. Says, can you join a membership from a phone? It seems no. That's an interesting question. I think you can, unless I'm just thinking about it in desktop mode. I'm pretty sure you can. Give me 1 second. No, actually. Yeah, because I've got the, I can see the thanks on here. Yeah, maybe not. Interesting. Yeah. So, yeah, I mostly do this sort of thing on desktop, but yeah, it looks like not on a phone. Huh. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, that kind of sucks. Go YouTube, right? Go YouTube. Let's see here. How can I target my audience? This is from Maesta G. Says, how can I target my audience if I have a young audience from shorts and older audience from long form videos? So that's going to happen anyway because younger people are more in shorts right now. However, in terms of targeting your audience, when you make shorts, you have to make sure that you're making shorts that the target audience that you're trying to reach would be most likely to respond to. And then when it comes to your long form content, you have to make sure that topically you're making videos about the things that they would respond to. And this is also a place where, of course, depending on your content and if this would work with what it is that you're doing, is adding audience identifiers to your packaging. And by packaging, I mean topic, title, and thumbnail. So what that would look like is, like in my case, because I serve YouTube content creators. So because of that, I use the word YouTuber or YouTube or new YouTuber or, beginning YouTubers. I use that type of language a lot in either my title or my thumbnail to help them know that my content is for them. So if they've never seen me before, they've never watched any videos, they've never heard of me, if my video shows up on their homepage when they're on YouTube, then they know immediately that my content is something that they're likely to be interested in, right? Because it's about them. I do the same exact thing with the YouTube logo also. So in a lot of my thumbnails, I'll even include the YouTube logo just because that's something as a content creator that we're dialed into. So I'll put that logo in there as a way, and it's red too, which is helpful, but I put that in there as a way to help them connect that this is about something that they care about. So another way that this would work, since we have Paul Peck Drywall Tube in the house, what's up, my man? Hope you're doing awesome. Is like in his case, since, he's showing off, like his drywall skills, then flexing on his drywall skills, I should say, then in his case, making sure that he's featuring either like a drywalling tool or to make sure he's featuring like some imagery that has something to do with drywall and making sure it's nice and clear, even at a small size, so that the people that are interested in that type of content, when it shows up on their homepage, they can easily identify, hey, this is something that I might be interested in. Same thing on their phone. They're sitting there, that home scroll is going through mindlessly, looking at a bunch of different thumbnails. And then it's like, bam, is that like a drywall? I'm going to say this is the wrong way. I'm going to say drywall spatula, but I don't think that's what it's called. That thing that you like smear it around with, right? But like a drywaller, if they're sitting there and they're going through their feed, then they see like that tool that they're familiar with, then for them, it's like, what's this video about? And then they'll look at the title to see what the video is about and decide if they're interested in it from there. So what you want to do, and I'm actually going to go look at your channel really quick and just see if I can kind of unpack anything for you to give you just kind of a, just kind of like a better lead on that really quick. Let me see. Let me go to channel, make sure that I clicked on the right one here. Okay, so you don't have any content on your channel yet. Okay. So yeah, so right now you don't have any content on your channel. So basically what you want to do is you just want to think about like who is it that I'm targeting? And then as long as it applies to what it is that you plan to do for the channel, you just want to think, okay, is there a way? Let me do this in another way. So let's say that I was making content for single dads. And that was who I was targeting with my content. Like with all my videos, my entire channel was like a resource for single dads to help them navigate that whole thing. Then what I would make sure that I was doing is I would add single dads, or at least dads, in every single title that I had or thumbnail. And the reason for that is because only dads or single dads, or majority, I won't say only, but a majority of the people that would click on that content would be them. And then by doing that, that helps YouTube identify that these are the people that are responding to this content. And as long as you're making content that they enjoy, then YouTube's going to use their information on all the data they have on all their users to go find other people that are enjoying YouTube and watching similar videos to other people that are watching, the people that are interacting with your content. YouTube is going to see the other types of content that they're enjoying, and then they're going to say, okay, who else is on the platform that is also enjoying other content like this user that is enjoying this, and then they're going to start presenting your content to those people. So because of that, taping knife, thank you. So because of that, those types of things can be extremely advantageous. Let's see here. Is there a way? Okay, we did that one, let's see here. It's called StreamYard Community Official. Thank you for that. See a join button on Nick's channel on my phone. Okay, so the Creator Classroom says they do see a join button on my channel on my phone. That should be a I'm a member button is what it should say. That it should be grayed out. I have an Android. What's the difference? Hey, I'm just giving you a hard time. You don't have to do that. FPS RC Drift says, what, if any, should I offer as a reward on Buy Me a Coffee? So some people will do it as a just like, help support the channel type of thing. And that will be like, hey, if you're enjoying this content, toss me a few bucks on Buy Me a Coffee. It just kind of helps me be able to do this. In your case, if you're doing like RC type of content, I'm going to pull up your channel here real quick as well. If you're doing RC like drift videos, then in that case, you could offer like exclusive videos to people that, donate over there, because I'm pretty sure Buy Me a Coffee now, they also have kind of like a feed, kind of like Patreon does, where you can offer, additional things over there as well. So you could put like exclusive content behind that to where it's like, hey, you get $5 as part of my thank you message. You also get a link to this like really cool video that I put together, in exchange. Or if you have like, I'm not sure who it is exactly that you're targeting, with your videos, but if they are, RC car enthusiasts, then in that case, if you had like a product list of, all of your best stuff or something like that, then in that case, you could make that available for download once they, donate some money or something like that too. Let's see here. Looking for cues. Okay. So we have Petty Talks TV says, is it true we should remove countdown timers and video intros off our live streams on the replay? Absolutely it is. So if you're live streaming to Facebook, then you're fine over there. The thing with StreamYard is they multicast, right? So on YouTube, the thing is entirely different because people are making a decision on if they're going to stick in your video or not based on the first things that they experience when they click on your content. So when you have a countdown timer and they click into that, even if it's only 2 minutes, even if it's only 30 seconds, they're either going to have to take an additional action of skipping through it and trying to figure out where it is that the countdown timer stops so they can start watching the content, which most people aren't going to do, or they can leave the video. So what you want to make sure that you're thinking about is like, okay, when somebody first comes into my live stream replay, what's the first things they're seeing and hearing? That's why you want to make sure that you're focusing on letting people know when you first start your stream, hey, this is what we're talking about today. If you're a gamer, I don't think you are, but for other people that are hanging out here today, if you're a gamer, when your stream first starts, make sure you add a challenge to whatever it is that you're doing or some type of context to what's happening. So the people that are sitting there waiting for the stream, they get to hear it. But more importantly, people on the replay, we're going to get more views from, when they first come into your stream, you're like, hey, today, I'm trying to get #1 in Fortnite Battle Royale using only, like a pistol. And by doing that, they know the challenge that's at hand, and then that creates a little bit more desire for them to want to watch to see if you can complete that challenge, right? So the same exact thing goes if you're teaching people something to where you'd say, today, this is what we're talking about. And by doing that at the very beginning of your stream, it gives context to people on the replay as they're coming in. If you're a vlogger, if you're like a IRL live streamer, then it's like, hey, today we are going to go, to this particular place. We're trying to do it in this amount of time, or we're trying to see these very particular things, trying to get there before they close, to add some drama to it. So let's go. And by doing that, same exact thing, you're creating that opportunity for people to get more engaged in what it is that you're doing. Let's see here, looking for those cues. Okay, so Major Con Estillo, I apologize if I'm saying that incorrectly, says, if you have a split audience, young and old, and if YouTube tests your long videos with your subs, aren't those videos going to perform badly because of the split audience? Not necessarily. So this is why it's so important to make sure that the audience that you're trying to serve is the same, because over time it will develop into that. But yes, right now you are getting younger viewers on YouTube Shorts. That's just kind of how it works for everybody right now. However, when it comes to YouTube recommending them your content later, if YouTube recommends your content to them a few times and they don't respond, then they're going to stop recommending it to them. And with YouTube already knowing, because if you know they're younger from the demographics, YouTube also knows that they're younger, then YouTube will end up limiting the recommendations for that particular audience that isn't responding to the long form content. And if the older people are responding to that long form content, then it will continue the recommendations for them, right? So that is also one of those things that are going to be taken into account. The system will definitely learn over time. Let's see here is the amazing Andrew Can in the house. What's up, my man? Hope that you're doing fantastic. Happy New Year. This is my first stream of the year. Super pumped up. This is going to be an exciting year. Petty Talk says, thanks. But if I edit out the countdown, I lose the comments. Yes. So you have to make the call on what's more important to you. The comments on the replay, which don't really add a ton of value. They do add some context, but not a ton. Or the replay experience for the people on the replay. Because like the live chat, it's great for the people that are there, right? Because then you get to interact and all of that. But when it comes to the live stream replay, every now and then, like for me personally, every now and then I'll pay attention to, what's going on in the chat, but not for long because I'll just watch, whatever's happening in the stream. So some people, they will care about that. But if you remove that, let me give you a trick you can do. So, well, you know what? Because if the live chat is important to you, then in that case, yeah, you're going to have to make the call. But just one thing to consider. Let me give you kind of a workaround if you choose to take it. So I mentioned this in a handful of videos here on the StreamYard channel, but there's one thing you can do where all of the live streamy stuff that you do in terms of like shouting people out, in terms of, all the fun stuff you might do while you're waiting for people to show up, all those types of things, to where you can front load all of that stuff. That would also include your countdown timer. And then you have all the live streamy stuff that you need to be there for. All that stuff's at the beginning. And you can also do some of that at the end with a Q&A, kind of like we're doing right now. And then what you do is you have all that stuff built up to the beginning, and then you do a reset. And with that reset, you just say something like, hey, if you're just joining us, and then you pause for a second, and then you say, today we're doing X, Y, Z, and then you kind of repeat that hook that we talked about a minute ago. And then what you do is when you go into the YouTube editor, you cut, to cut off that, the countdown timer, you use that, if you're just joining us, today we're talking about blah, 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 and then you cut it right at that, today we're talking about blah, 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 or today we're trying to accomplish this, or, in this stream we're trying to do this, whatever that, challenge thing is. But you cut it there, and then the people on the replay, they don't see any of that, shout outs or any of the live streamy stuff. They just get the actual content. And then the same exact thing goes for the stuff that you do at the end that's live streaming. You can also trim that down as well to where you are intentionally ending your streams by letting people know, and this is a little bit awkward for live stream viewers, but you can say, hey, right here is, more, streams like this, or hey, if you're into this game, or if you, want to learn more about this topic, or, whatever it is based on the type of content you make, I've got, an entire playlist of these types of videos right here. Go ahead and click into that now. And then, you would in the stream be like, hey, thanks for hanging out, or hey, now we're going to get into the Q&A, whatever the thing is. And then you do that. And then that's all the stuff that you end up cutting out. And then you have a nice, secure, core piece of content that you can have on your channel. But yeah, the losing the comments, you're going to have to make the call on if you want to keep those comments on the replay and essentially destroy the performance of the video because of it, or just edit it out and lose those comments, or structure your stream, and I've got a video about this on the StreamYard channel too, structure your stream in a way to where you don't have to cut it. And that would mean not using a countdown timer, making sure that when you start the stream that you start it with a hook, and that you just start going through the content, and that you can still interact with, the people that are there, but just do it lightly and don't, focus solely on like answering questions and things like that. Just focus lightly on the chat and more on the content. Let's see here. Let's see as we keep on going down. Creator Classroom says, do you have a video on how to cut that part out of the live stream? I have a huge problem with the video editor on YouTube. It won't play for some reason, so I can actually be accurate with the cuts. Okay, so what you can do is down in the bottom right-hand corner, you have a little tool that you can use to zoom in and out. So what I do when I'm doing those is I'll just zoom in. I basically put the playhead over at the beginning of the stream, and then I'll zoom in, and then I'll move the little colored box there. I'll move it in to where I'll see the wave file of when I first start talking, and then I'll cut it there. And then I will go to the end, and then I see all the dead space from when I stop talking, and then I will go in and then I'll trim that in, and then that leaves me a good spot there. So if I was doing it on the side where it was like an interrupt in terms of a reset, then what I would do is I would just look for that part in the stream. And then of course I would just move it forward there. And then I would also use the WAV file for that. And then once you lock it in there, you have the option to hit preview, and then you can actually hear how it's going there. But you should, because you're saying it's not playing, but you definitely should. It should be playing. So I would definitely maybe clear your cache or something and see if see if that fixes the problem. Let's see here. But I don't have that video. I should actually make that maybe for the StreamYard channel. Let's see. So side note, you will lose the live chat when you edit a live stream. Absolutely. Ron Valley says, will Elon Musk buy YouTube and take it over and ruin it for us? I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, we'll definitely see. Square Table Degenerate says, hey, Nick, what are people saying channels are getting deleted for swearing now? Was there a change on something, or are people that just paranoid now? So it's not that they're getting deleted for swearing. What's happening is they are losing ad revenue for swearing. So as always, I've been telling people that this was going to happen for years. So basically, when you have anything that you're doing that's risky on YouTube, that means reaction videos, that means, using, a lot of, language that isn't appropriate for advertisers, that type of stuff, then, eventually, there's a possibility that, I'm just going to say the karma, because I don't know how else to say it, is going to come knocking, on that one. And we'll just say YouTube is going to come knocking on that one, or there'll be a law that changes, or there'll be a policy that changes, and, and you might lose. So in this particular case, what's happening is YouTube is limiting, I think it's the first 8 seconds of your video. If you're using curse words there, then they're limiting your ad revenue. And they're doing this retroactively, which means if you have an entire archive of, let's say you've got 10,000 videos on your channel, it's a lot of videos. Let's not be ridiculous here. Let's say you have 500 videos on your channel, and all of them you were saying, as part of your intro, you're like, hey, what's up? And then you say something, that wouldn't be advertiser friendly. Then every single one of those videos, you're running the risk of them all getting demonetized. Boom, mind blown, right? So what's happening is, since they are doing that, it's basically advertiser pushback. So YouTube has had to, update their policy, and through updating their policy in order to, make sure they're pleasing advertisers that, help the wheels keep spinning on this thing. If people are swearing within, I think, don't quote me on the 8 seconds, but I think it's 8 seconds. I'm actually talking about it in my news segment in detail that we're doing this week. But basically, I think it's the first 8 seconds of the content. If you are swearing there, then you are, running a risk of getting the, you're actually getting the content demonetized. So just make sure that you are aware of that if you are wanting to make money from YouTube ads. Square Table Ginger says, okay, who are these advertisers? Seriously, I don't know one adult that doesn't swear. Well, it's not that they don't swear, because, it's likely that the people that run the companies, the people that run their advertising campaigns, all the people that work there, they probably swear. It's the association, right? So the same exact thing happens with like sensitive, content, like, political content, things like that, to where some companies, they just don't want to be associated with those types of topics. Same thing goes with like, firearms, that kind of stuff, where if people are making that type of content, let's say that you're the manufacturer of, this, and you're like, hey, if somebody watches my ad before they go and they watch this particular video showing this thing that, could be taken in a very negative way, then that might mentally connect somebody to, our product in some weird way. So because of that, we're just not going to advertise on those types of videos. So that's how it is. It's not like a, hey, we don't do that, so therefore we're not going to advertise on it. It's more of that they just don't want their brands associated with that type of content. Now, one thing to think about when it comes to this is, previously, there wasn't as much inventory. I mean, there's still tons of inventory, but there wasn't as much inventory. Now, it seems like, everybody's now, over like last year, and a little bit, in the year before. So we'll say like the last year and a half, maybe 2 years, conversations about the creator economy and the reality for a lot of people. And I think a lot of this happened during, when we were all, indoors and all that. But the reality for a lot of people that like, hey, this is something that I can do, and I can actually make a living off of this. And in some cases, it's going to be way better than the living that I'm making. And I'm going to be able to like call the shots. Are you kidding me? because of that, a lot of people are coming on board and just flooding the platform with a lot of content. And the inventory is just getting bigger and bigger with like new content. So because of that, advertisers can be picky. YouTube can adjust their policies to where the advertiser's like, hey, I just want to advertise on clean stuff. And that's their prerogative to do that, right? So so because of that, it's just one of those things that, that content creators are caught in that crossfire because, they wanted to have like a jarring intro or something like that. And I get it, some of those things, they, it's just part of branding and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the advertisers, it's their call on what it is that they, that they're going to advertise on. So, it's definitely one of those things. I've been talking about from day one on my, maybe not day one, but from, a very early time on my YouTube channel, I've been talking about, for me, the importance of, maintaining being family friendly and brand friendly. And by that, because I use swear words, like I don't know, some of you here might know Beanie Draws, but basically me, Andrew Can, and my brother, we went to Australia for VidCon. And when we were over there, when I first met Beanie Draws, we were just having a conversation, and I said, one of those things, and he's like, "Whoa!" And it just completely threw him off because he's like, "Yeah, I thought you didn't, it didn't talk like that." It's not that I don't, say those things. It's just that I don't say those things on my YouTube channel because I want to be family friendly and brand friendly. So on the brand friendly side, I don't run into the situation that people are running into right now on YouTube with losing opportunities because of language, but also I want to be considerate to people that might be in a situation because, people are watching our videos in their TVs, on their TVs, and their families are present and their young kids are present. So because of that, like right now in this live stream, if you have a kid in your environment right now that can hear my voice, let me know in the live stream. Because I'm just curious here because I'd love to use this as an example. But the idea is if I say something that is not family friendly and somebody has kids in the room and they typically don't subject their kids to that kind of, thing, then in that particular case, what I'm doing by not saying those types of things and using other ways to explain the same ideas is I'm making my content to where making it on your own DIYs and Joel Armin, where both of them can listen to my content without even having to worry about it or without even having to think about like, oh, hey, I better, I better watch this when I'm alone or when I have headphones in because, the family's definitely not going to vibe with this, right? Or I definitely don't want my kids to hear what's coming out of this person's mouth, right? So because of that, it just helps me, it just helps me make sure that I'm being considerate of my viewers. And it also helps me make sure that I'm not missing opportunities by doing those particular things. So it's just things to think about, like when it comes to all this stuff, there's a lot of nuance to it and a lot of things to, consider, when it comes to making content. I'm all about free speech. I'm all about people being able to express themselves and say what it is they want and things like that. But there's the other side of it, which is, if somebody's paying for ads, it's up to them what videos that they, want to show those ads on. That's totally their call. And if, somebody's listening to somebody else's content, it's totally up to them if they want to listen to it in those environments or not. And because of that, it's just up to us to make those. It's up to us to make those calls on what it is that we want to, how it is that we want to present ourselves in those scenarios. Ron Valley says, old Chinese saying says, he or she who walks softly walks the furthest. Love it. There's another Chinese saying. My brother and I, so we were in Shanghai. And because I live in Thailand, so it's not that far away. So we would go there from time to time when he first started hanging out with his now partner. And basically, we were over there. We were in Shanghai, or maybe it was Beijing. I'm not sure. I think it was Beijing. And we were walking down the street. And as a foreigner over there, you get a lot of attention. So like people want to take pictures with you and stuff like that. And like just because you're a foreigner. And we're like super tall. I'm like 6'3", that kind of stuff. So we stand out over there. So they came over. They took a picture, and we were having a conversation with them. And they were like, because me and my brother both, we're both bald. So they said something about our bald hair, and we were kind of joking back and forth a bit. And they're like, oh, no, very good. They're like, in China, we say that a busy road has no grass, which basically means, because you're thinking a lot, you lose your hair. We just thought it was funny. And that's just one of those things that we, kind of joke about. It's great to be able to generate. It says, man who eats 10,000 bananas has lots of appeal. Oh, love it. Absolutely love it. Oh, man, this is great. Okay. So on that note, everybody have an awesome rest of your week. Thank you so much for hanging out. So if you enjoyed this, we have a lot more videos. I'm going to put a playlist right here that you can click into. If you're live streaming to YouTube, make sure you click into that playlist. There's tons of information in there that's going to help you out. And I will see you the last Tuesday of the month here on the StreamYard channel. Have a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll see you next time.